Let's talk about how to shoot a testimonial video for your church. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be shooting a testimony video, and I thought I'd take you along for the ride, walk you through my thought process, give you some tips and tricks along the way if this is something you're wanting to do at your church, because these testimonial videos are always so impactful. So I've got an hour and 15 minutes before my interviewee shows up to share her testimony. So we got to run, hustle, get these things set up, and find a good spot to do this. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're setting up for an interview is pick out a good location. Things I'm considering are, number one, how is the audio going to be in that area? Is it a quiet environment? Can I control the audio? Number two, what does it actually look like in the setup? Is there a lot in the frame that's going to be distracting, or does it help tell the story somehow? So we're focusing on Jesus changing everything stories of our people. That's kind of our vision here at Central. So I have a setup here in our venue that has a Jesus changes everything backdrop that I thought would be perfect, but they're having a sewing retreat in there and I can't reschedule this, so we're gonna have to look at plan B. All right, so after scouring the church for a good location, I think I'm just gonna keep it really simple for this one. It's something we can replicate as we capture more of these stories. I'm gonna take my black chair, go in one of our rooms that's just very plain, and just add some lighting and capture some crispy audio. Fingers crossed it all works out great. Okay, so we're just in this room that is our overflow seating area. It's got these weird windows that go to the worship center, but it'll be blacked out in there, so I think I'm okay. I'm just gonna use that gray wall. I'm thinking kind of going opposite of like I Am Second, very blacked out white chair. We're gonna go gray wall with a dark chair. Just keep it very simple. So I've just kind of pushed the chairs out of the way as much as I need to. I am keeping this chair off of the back wall because I'm gonna add some backlight to create like a gradient on this wall of light, and blocking that plug there. I'll probably just move that lamp out of the way to keep it super clean. So as I set up these tripods, I like to keep them about eye level height for where my interviewee will be sitting over there. And I keep them relatively close, so that way cutting between the telephoto and the wide, the field of view stays pretty much the same. For me, when choosing a frame rate to shoot at, I would usually shoot at 24, just because that's the cinematic motion blur or whatever. But for us, everything we're doing in our live stream and in our worship center is 29:9:7, so I'm shooting at that. Don't get too crazy about the motion blur stuff. People are just sitting there talking. If you need to bump up your shutter, if you have a lot of daylight coming in, you can go up 300 or 400, 500 even on the shutter, and it's not that big a deal because people aren't riding a bike in the frame, right? So for this setup, I've got a GH5 with an 18-35 wide shot, a GH5 with a 35-100 Panasonic f2.8. And over here, I've got the Canon RP with a 50mm lens tracking with autofocus. And lighting-wise, we are using a GVM 200B variable temperature light that is set about 25% at a 45-degree angle to try and create some shadows on this side of the face. Slider on this side to capture shadow side. That's kind of the Hollywood style of doing it. A GVM disc light that is bicolor. Both of those set to 5600 Kelvin, and it's just kind of creating that gradient behind me. And so it's a very simple setup. Audio-wise, typically I would have a lapel here, a Tascam DR10L, and then I am using a little shotgun mic that's just here out of frame going into hardwired into the RP. You can kind of see it right there. I'll link all of those things in the description of this video. A couple of little tripods, nothing special. GVM 48-inch slider that is running at about 80%. You can't really even hear it. Pretty silent, and I've used these things on multiple interviews. And so the idea here is just to have a nice clean setup that I can replicate as we capture these testimony videos. But things whenever you're interviewing the person that you want to think through is just, what is the story arc of their story? How has Jesus changed their life? So think of the edit in mind. I've had to circle back with certain people and say, hey, whenever you transition from this to this in your story, it kind of felt abrupt. Can you expound on that? What were you feeling in that moment? Those are the things that we connect with more than just hearing the story. a good storyteller helps you feel like you're there in the moment, experience it with them. So you might need to ask them to expound on something. It's always better to have too much content than not enough. And in this simple setup, I'm not even shooting any B-roll or anything. It's going to be just cuts for their story. I may include a few little text overlays or things to transition between points. But you can always film these on location in someone's home. We've shot these where we've really helped tell the story that they're telling by shooting B-roll of them on location, photos, videos that are referencing things that they're talking about. And those are always great as well. But I think if a story is compelling, it's not always necessary to include all of those things. And for most of our testimonies, I actually have them look directly at the lens of the camera because I want people that are watching it on the projector or on their phone, I want them to feel like the story is being told to them, not that they're watching them, me, tell a story if I was looking off camera over here to another person. It's okay sometimes, but for these videos, I really like it to be look into my eyes as I tell you what God did for me. And once you've got all the footage that you need, I like to film maybe just a walk in, walk out, a clean slate of the area that you can add maybe graphics to for an intro or outro. And then in the edit, the things that I'm trying to convey is using music and cutting in the pacing of the story to really move it along, but draw the emotion out. It's funny how music really is powerful in that way. So many times I'm starting the Life Before Christ with a more somber tone piece of music, something that doesn't get in the way of the voice talking, but just enough to really help you feel what they're feeling. And then once that life change moment happens in their story, we're going to switch to that more inspirational feeling, joyful tone to help communicate that. And so I'm thinking of trying to find those in similar keys. We like Soundstripe. I'll link a code in the description of this video. It's free, copyright-free music that you can pay a small fee for the annual subscription, and it has great things where you can find songs in similar keys, even themes. All those different websites have that, but I like Soundstripe. It's been really good for us. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you found this helpful somehow. I do these different setups all the time in different ways. Maybe I should have added a kicker light back here. I thought reflecting off the wall, it should be fine. Maybe I should have done this in a more inspirational place, but sometimes you just got to roll with it, with whatever setting you got, and you can make this work with some limited technology, even just daylight and an iPhone. You could get this done. Maybe I should do a video about that. If you're interested in me just shooting one of these with iPhone only, no extra lights, and see how I can make that work, let me know in the comments. If you have any other tips, throw them down there too. And links in the description for all the tech we've used. Remember, guys, though, we do a lot of great things. Let's do it all for God's glory. We'll see you in the next one.